What's going on, everyone? Welcome back into the Bettor Sports Betting Show here, Bettor Sports Network, Fantasy Alarm. I'm with James Grande. What's up, man? First show for us together. I know you were on yesterday with Howard, but first show for us. You ready for MLB picks, NBA picks, NHL picks today?
Yeah, much better sports day than it was yesterday. Howard and I only had baseball to talk about, which is fine. We had a good day overall, but happy to be here with you, Servo, every Thursday, serving it up. I'm sure as you've heard before.
No, never. That's an original
never.
one.
Right. Same thing with me. People, oh, Grande Taco. Oh, are you a Starbucks drink? Like, yeah, I've never heard those either. Ariana Grande's cousin. Like, yeah, never heard those ones. But yeah, I mean, great day to be great, as our producer Adam just said before we went on air.
Yes.
He said he created the phrase "great day to be great." I could not believe him. That's probably a copyright infringement somewhere. Like, it's, probably trademarked, and Adam thinks that he created it. But
we'll give him credit anyway.
Yeah, we'll give him credit anyway. But good to be here. NBA, NHL, MLB. Let's get it.
Yeah, we got plenty to talk about. We'll have Justin Fensterman on from from Fantasy Alarm, obviously, Bettor Sports Network host, SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio host. He's everywhere. He's gonna be talking some NBA. I know him and Grande will give some NBA picks out. I got maybe a pick I want to give out, but we got Celtics Heat tonight. We'll see if the Celtics can stay alive, or that spread's interesting. We'll get to it. And then we got some NHL playoffs tonight. Another game to potentially clinch a Stanley Cup appearance for a team. So we'll get to that too. But we got some MLB today, and we got some MLB afternoon actions. I remember before we went live here, you said you didn't have any plays or picks going bets wise, but you're playing some DFS for this afternoon baseball. But I mean, in general, we got afternoon baseball. How awesome is that?
Yeah, that's the second straight day too that we're just getting. And you're an East Coaster, so like 12:35 until 1 a.m. today is baseball. Like, we have
glorious
baseball. Now, it must be nice, a nice life if you're on the West Coast to like wake up, your kids woke you up, just get a cup of oh wait, I got some afternoon baseball going. And then you actually get to sleep at a reasonable time as well. Like your 9:40 Oakland Seattle game starting at 6:40. Like you're done before 10 o'clock. Now that the new rules are like, must be nice life over there.
Yeah,
you don't have to stay up till 1 a.m. every night for baseball. But I digress. I'm not complaining about 12 hours of sports. Never will I ever.
No, I love it. I know, it's like getting the day started, and we got games before 1 o'clock Eastern on the East Coast. Right. I mean, at least one, and then a bunch starting up at 1. By the way, for those, obviously, we didn't give any picks out beforehand, but I had a couple plays. I hit on the Rays first 5 on the run line, and then I hit on the Rays money line. It was a little juicy, but I wanted to pay that because I just thought they'd win, and it got a little dicey at the end there. We had some Jake Diekman coming in, giving up a couple runs, but they got it done. So those were a couple I cashed early. It was Eflin against Manoah, and I saw that matchup, and I liked Eflin to have a better outing than some of the stats said, but and he was due for some positive numbers there. And Manoah the Rays against right-handed pitch. I mean, the Rays in general are just always a good team to back their offense, but against right-handed pitching, they're a team I was looking at earlier. So I like that, and I'm sweating right now. I'm sweating a bet right now. The Marlins money line. We got them up 1-0 in the 4th inning. Couple runners on. I got it over in the TV over there, so I'm tracking. So that'll be a live sweat for you guys throughout our show today with the Marlins money line at -120 on DraftKings. How do you feel about that? Do you like my Coors Field's always risky. Who knows what's going to happen?
Right. Yeah, I liked it. First off, I like Braxton Garrett. He's been pretty good outside of one start where they just said, "Hey, buddy, like, I know you got your F stuff tonight, but like, we don't have a bullpen. You're getting shelled, and like, you just got to get through it." He gave up like 10 earned in that start. Yeah. Every other start this year has been relatively good. He's off to a good start. this offense that has in Colorado that has typically hit left-handed pitching well ranks near the bottom of the league against lefties this year, outside of Jurickson Profar, who wasn't in the lineup today. That helps you.
Mhm.
Chris Bryant has been good against lefties, and Randall Grichuk has been good against lefties. That's it. So I like your money line sweat. Also, just to note, this lineup right now, we're first and third for the Marlins. But the ninth hitter up next is top of the order, so we could be getting a Soler at bat in this inning, just
Ooh.
to maybe to hopefully boost your Oh, I think there's something going down, Servo, like live on air while
I
Fensty in the background just chewing food. I just can't, like, he needs, like, holy cow, like, who does this guy think he is? 2
I
nothing Marlins now. Nice.
I
Nice, Servo.
might
I
be
like this.
Oh, I see the single here. I was a
Yep.
second behind there. So yeah, we got to run in. Um, wow. All right. Yeah. We got. Well, I like the Marlins against left-handed pitching has been a
Yep.
good matchup for
Yep.
them. So that was a spot I definitely wanted to target. Um, but yeah. So yeah, Fency's watching along with us.
He'll be
He'll
on
be
with
on.
us at 4:15, right? 4:15 to
Yeah,
talk
he'll be
some
on in
hoops.
about 10 minutes. Let's get to some MLB picks we got for
Okay.
tonight before we
Okay.
bring him on. I'll let you go first to get into your best bet for tonight's slate.
Yeah, so my first bet and my best bet, the one that I like the most, I'm gonna go with Aaron Nola over 5.5 strikeouts against the Atlanta Braves. And it's not a spot that I think many people will be entirely intrigued by, because the Braves offense has been everyone's favorite. And, for rightfully so. They have been full of thump. But where people I think would miss this is they've been best against left-handed pitching. They have struggled against righties largely. Last 2 weeks alone, they're just 23rd in OPS. But on the year, ninth highest strikeout rate in baseball against right-handed pitching, 23.5%. Aaron Nola, after a terrible April in terms of strikeouts, boosted his mark by 10 strikeouts his last time out. He is now up to a 24% strikeout rate for the month of May due to 6+ strikeouts in 3 of his last 5. So I love Aaron Nola minus 140 over on DraftKings Sportsbook to hit the over 5.5 strikeouts. Because when we think of Atlanta, like, yeah, they're obviously powerful, but if they're going to struggle, that's just going to give me more ammunition for Nola to get deeper into this game, to get me to the 6 strikeouts that we need. So my best bet today is Aaron Nola to keep the train rolling in the strikeout department over 5.5.
I like that. Yeah, 5.5 is a low number for Nola's talent there. Obviously, like on the road is maybe a risk, but yeah, that I like that. I like that prop. I'll go to my best bet here, and I like the Mariners with a few different picks. I like them on the run line and the first 5 innings run line about minus 130 on DraftKings. I saw and got it at, and Logan Gilbert strikeouts. So obviously facing the A's, so it's never a bad idea to bet against the A's here. But
Right.
the A's have been terrible against right-handed pitching all season and the last 2 weeks. And they have the highest strikeout rate against right-handed pitching this season and over the last 2 weeks. Just some terrible numbers against righties. And I see Logan Gilbert here on the other side, a 2.68 FIP and a 3.09 expected ERA this year, which are lower than his current ERA. So some positive regression coming. And he's got an uptick in his strikeout rate this year at 30%. Kind of worked in the splitter this year. So that's a trend that he's developed that pitch as a legit strikeout pitch for him. So I see that, and it's interesting. Gilbert, he faced the Athletics or about 3 weeks ago, allowed 2 runs over 6 innings, a strong outing, only 6 strikeouts in that one. But I see the juice here at over 7.5, and I like it. It's actually, you see the graphic right now, and it's at plus 110. It's actually gone the other way. It's like plus 135 on DraftKings, which has me maybe a little worried, but I see him getting to 8 strikeouts or more here. He's averaging 7 strikeouts on the season, and he's been over 7 strikeouts in I think 5 of his 9 outings this year, or at 7 or more in 5 of his 9 outings. So I see that kind of as a baseline, and these numbers are pointing to a better strikeout performance tonight. So I like the juice there to get over 7.5, and then the Mariners on the other side are facing JP Sears. he's got a 4.99 ERA this year and a 4.98 FIP. So just basically not, he's been an inconsistent pitcher all year and was actually good against the Mariners earlier this month in that same matchup against Gilbert. But I see that kind of being an outlier and Mariners having their way like they had last night against the A's pitching. So I like the Mariners run line, first 5 innings and Gilbert here.
So you're saying you're rooting for Oakland tonight is what you're saying.
I'm rooting
based on all your investments, Oakland, right? You're
firmly against Oakland.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I think I did I think I had Mariners run line was my best bet yesterday. Against Oakland, and pretty much the same, almost like the same pattern the same pattern is happening. They had Waldachuk at the time was the starter. He ended up being the long man, which was just announced like 2 hours before the game. They're like, hey, we're actually going to use him as, as a not as a traditional starter. So it's like, that's not the best because I'm targeting all these Mariners against left-handed pitching. Well, same thing applies tonight. And the one thing about JP Sears, like, he's actually been kind of good, as you alluded to, like, pitched well against them. The strikeouts are kind of there, but he cannot keep the ball in the ballpark. Like, he allows so much power. And if there's one thing we've kind of learned about most of these Seattle guys, like the Kelnicks, the Suarez's, the Hernandez, even if you want to go as far to say like Tom Murphy or Cal Raleigh, like, they're just powerful dudes. Like, they just can change the outcome of a game with one swing of the bat. 276 isolated power allowed to right-handed batters for JP Sears. I like everything you just said. And to your Logan Gilbert point, nobody strikes out more against right-handed pitching than Oakland. So I was actually like very on the fence about that number because I too looked at it and I was like, 7.5. I looked at the earned runs was his earned runs was 1.5. He's allowed over 1.5 like in his last like 7 starts. I was like, nah, can't do it. And then I was like, strikeout 7.5, and it's plus money. It's like, ooh, that's interesting.
And as we speak, it's now plus 145 on DraftKings. I mean, the
moving live. We're getting live movement.
This is moving away from what I just said, but whatever. I still like the to him. I mean, if you want to wait a little bit more, it might even get even more in your favor, or it might go down to 6.5 and then you get 7. But I mean, obviously the money and the odds are not. You're kind of contradicting what I'm saying, but I'm standing firm.
Well, it's funny. I mean, dude, to your point, like Logan Gilbert has been like the guy in this Mariners rotation that like, well, next is George Kirby coming up, but like Logan Gilbert's still there, who's still been solid, but he's never been this good in the terms of strikeouts. Like last year, he had a 23% strikeout rate. This year, it's 30. If you want to round up, 31. Like, if that's who we're gonna get, if we're gonna get Logan Gilbert, you mentioned he's throwing the splitter more. Like, if that's who it's gonna take, like, who's to say he can't continue to be this guy? He's getting more swinging strikes than he was last year. He's getting more called strikes than he was last year. Like, maybe this is just who he is because of the adaptation of the pitches. We've seen this across baseball. Josiah Gray is someone that comes to mind. Stopped throwing his fastball 70% of the time, and now he's not going to lead the league. He gave up 40 home runs last year. 30 of them were against fastballs. Like, hey, man, stop throwing that pitch. Like, it's brain fart. Like, but maybe Logan Gilbert throwing the splitter a little bit more has introduced him to more strikeouts, and it's clearly showing. So I'm with you over 7.5. I like that quite a bit.
Yeah, and just one more point on that. It was like, so he got rid of his changeup entirely, and he's just kind of replaced it with the splitter. And last year, and it's made all of his pitches better, by the way, but the splitter specifically has a high strikeout rate this year. And I think 17 of his like total 60-some strikeouts this year have been on the splitter itself, and he doesn't throw it that often. So it's like when he's throwing it on 2 strike counts and trying to get that out pitch. But yeah, I mean, and the last 2 of the last 3 outings, he's been over 7.5. He's had 9 and 10 strikeouts. So some of these trends are pointing me to that over here.
Right.
So I'm going to stick with it. But either way, I like the Mariners to win and win comfortably early on and throughout the whole game here. So backing them. We got Justin Fensterman here coming on. And by the way, before we get to him, just wanted to mention that tonight is a special event on the Fantasy Alarm Show on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern. Our guys Howard Bender and Jim Bowden are going to be drafting with 10 members of our military for the Military Appreciation Fantasy Football Draft. The league champ gets 2 tickets to any 2024 NFL game and a custom salute to a service jersey. Get your free trial to SiriusXM by going to SiriusXM.com/free-trial. That's the Fantasy Alarm Show, Military Appreciation Fantasy Football Draft tonight at 6 o'clock Eastern. So after Grande and Pemba get done with their DFS show, go tune into SiriusXM for that. By the way, so Fantasy Alarm and SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio host Justin Fensterman, good timing here. Let's bring him on. Fensty, what's up, man? We got Celtics Heat tonight. You ready for this game? And any early leans? But I mean, how are you doing? Appreciate you coming on tonight.
Here's my early lean, boys, and thank you for having me. We're going Boston tonight.
Is that an Antoine Walker jersey?
No, it's not. It's a player that you disrespected, James, in our Fantasy Alarm Discord. It's one Bill Russell. So there you go, right there.
Well, it would have been you. I mean, not surprised. You would. I mean, it would be so cool if you had an Antoine Walker jersey, but like obviously that's not going to happen because cool and Fensty. I don't know if those two things exactly correlate. I'm just kidding, buddy. How are you doing?
No, you're very serious about that. Well, I'm good. I'm good, man. Well, James, as you also did say in our Fantasy Alarm Discord, this is why you should join the family because you get to read comments that James puts in our Discord because James actually said that he goes from 6 to midnight when Bam Adebayo scores points. Guys, how about a little over 17.5 tonight for Big Bam? They forgot how to feed this guy in the post. He was doing so well the first 2 games. They got to go back to basic fundamentals. And with no Gabe Vincent, who's been shooting very nicely over the last few games, they need a little bit more offensive presence. They got a big guy who was crushing the Celtics in the post, and they've abandoned him, guys. Tonight, over 17.5 points, James. 6 to midnight, baby.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, Fancy, that you bring that up because I've talked to a couple of friends of mine about like the Celtics approach.
You have friends?
And I said a couple.
Oh.
Couple is 2. So just 2. You and then one other imaginary friend. But I was talking to a couple of my friends and I mentioned that like Boston is losing out on not having Rob Williams on the floor because Bam has dominated them the first 3 games of the series. What are your thoughts? Do you think we could maybe see Rob Williams extended a little bit here, Fensty? We didn't see it in Game 4. Obviously, everything went wrong for Miami, including an injury to Gabe Vincent, which I think is a crucial loss. And I want to get your take on like does that make a big enough? Does that give Boston a big enough advantage? But do you think we could see Rob Williams a little bit more? Does that maybe scare you off of Bam, or are you just confident in the 17.5 no matter what?
I was thinking about that when putting together the DFS NBA playbook, which was just posted on fantasyalarm.com, and I left Williams out of the dart throws today. And the reason I did that is because with the offensive production that Boston got with the lineup that they did, i.e. Derek White lately too, and Malcolm Brogdon hurting, they kind of need the offense in there. And the only way I see a gateway to Williams getting more minutes, because Williams was superb on the offensive end. He did what was asked of him the first 2 games, didn't miss a shot, took 5 or more, and left 5 and a 6. And when I saw that, I said, okay, this guy hasn't been getting it done on the glass. He hasn't been boxing out Bam or keeping Bam limited on the offensive end, but he's still producing offensively. That should still keep him in the lineup. Then they switched their lineup. I don't think they're going to abandon the starting lineup that they put out last game because, guys, look, I mean, you all watched this team. We really haven't seen the Boston Celtics that we're used to seeing for almost a full series collectively between what we've seen this series and last series. Game 4 was the first time where we saw that team that we remembered being a certified top 2 seed in the East. So because of that, I don't think Robert Williams is going to be starting. And because of Grant Williams all of a sudden starting to bubble up a little bit with what he's brought with the intangibles that you can't see on the stat sheet and hitting shots as well, I think Robert Williams' ceiling is lowered because of those two factors.
All right.
And
you mentioned
subsequently probably raises BAMs because I think Rob Williams hurts Boston more on the glass than Al Horford would.
Right. I mean, again, then that's why I'm also thinking of going in on the over PRs for Bam, although he's been so poor on the rebound. Again, how a guy like that gets 3 to 5 rebounds against this team in this Celtics team is an anomaly, but I'm still thinking about going over the 26.5 for the PRs for him. But I'm thinking more of the points, guys. They got to get back to Bam. They got to give him 10 to 15 shots tonight. They just have to do it. They have to do it. Even if they're down, they want to hit threes. They got to just feed this guy. He has post moves, and the Heat go away from him. And for all the praise that we're giving Coach Spo, because he's been excellent, especially in these playoffs, I feel like this is one of the missing points for him, not consistently feeding Bam in the post.
And Bam, you mentioned he's in your NBA DFS playbook that's up live on fantasyalarm.com. So if you got that all-pro package, go get it so you can go get this lineup in for this showdown tonight and check out Fensty's picks over there. I got to ask you about the spread here and the total, if you got any leans on these, because, I mean, interesting. We got Celtics -8 right now on the spread at home, you mentioned. Over-under is about 215. I mean, listen, I see how the Heat had success on the road in this series already. And that money line for Miami at +265 or about +250, wherever you're looking, it looks really juicy to me. Talk me off the back in the Heat tonight, and you back in Boston -8. You think they'll cover that big spread?
I'm not backing the -8, and the money line is just too rich to bet on its own. So for those out there that like to dabble in the parlays, that's maybe an area where you can use a leg and then trying to get better odds there by betting down after that. But again, I think I'm going into it with the mindset. I wrote my piece with the mindset that Boston is winning this game tonight. I think with what you saw from them offensively, but more importantly, for the first time all series, they figured out how to make the Heat uncomfortable on the offensive end. Lower percentage shots, less organization on offense, impatient because you're having guys like Derek White come up from behind to block these guys, which means that they're not looking both ways with the ball. They were playing with a lot of desperation, which I was very surprised about. And because of that, guys, I don't necessarily want to bet because 8 is just too much, and we know what the Heat's defense can bring. I'm thinking that my lean is I'd rather lean the over on this on the 215 tonight, and I'm thinking that Miami's going to win this one straight up. So I'm not taking points either way.
All right, I got a question for you, Fensty. If you were betting the rest of the series, would you dabble Celtics +210? Because obviously, look, every Boston friend that we have or any person that each of us know that's from Boston will tell you about the 3-0 comeback from 2004 with Yankees Red Sox.
Which has so much to do with the NBA.
Exactly. They will also leave out.
Peter and A-Rod were in the stadium that 2 nights ago, right?
Right. They were. They sure were. And I'm not a hockey guy.
They weren't sitting together.
They were not. They were not sitting together. But also they will forget to tell you that didn't the Boston Bruins blow a 3-0 lead at some point in a hockey series? But they'll forget that one.
To the Flyers.
To the Flyers.
About 10 years ago, yeah.
So they will forget that one. But because of that, this will inject life into Boston in 7, right? What is your lean, Fensty? Would you, if you're betting on it, Boston right now to win the series +210, is that something that intrigues you at all?
It does. It does. And I'm not trying to get too wrapped up with what we saw, because for those that have watched basketball before, there you see teams try to not get swept, play with that extra energy and adrenaline. Right. But we got to look at the team as a whole. They're a very strong team, and they do have a lot of depth. Correct. And we're just seeing how impactful that depth can be. So because of that, I would put a very small wager on it. We all know, guys, if Boston wins and that offense produces like they did last game, and they're that as scrappy, and especially if it's a double-digit win, we're not getting good odds after tonight. Boy. We're not. No. It's not happening. So I'm willing to put a small wager. Guys, these things that never happen are supposed to happen eventually. Things like right. A 16 seed over a 1 in the NCAA tournament. Things like you just mentioned, teams coming back down 0-3. And in that Red Sox-Yankees series, the Yankees kicked the crap out of Boston in game 3. And if you were a Red Sox fan, you could not have had any confidence that they were going to come back in the series, let alone win one game. So I don't want to get fully wrapped up in what we saw. But Gabe Vincent is out. And he's not just a guy, because he not only has helped out bringing up the ball, which wasn't originally supposed to be his responsibilities. He's a spark shooter. That's what he is. He's a gunslinger when it comes to shooting the ball. That's what his main job was supposed to be. But because of health issues that they faced along the way and inactivity at the point guard spot, they actually put him to that spot and are having him bring up the ball. So he actually provides that dual threat. And without him there, that's, again, why I'm starting to have that confidence in Boston. Now, Gabe Vincent with swelling could be back next game if Boston wins. It can absolutely happen. We saw it with Jimmy Butler the following game. He was back after being out in the game. But ultimately, guys, I still think that Boston could win this series. My lean is Miami's going to figure things out and take it in 6. But tonight, I'm all on Boston's wagon. And, James, if you want to put a cheap wager because the odds are so good and we know how good this Celtics team is, I sign off on that.
Nice. I got to ask you about just a quick look ahead to the NBA Finals. We'll probably have you on to talk some finals matchups, whoever's matching up with the Denver Nuggets. But, like you mentioned, James mentioned the odds on the Celtics right now, if you want to get on it if they win tonight. Same thing with futures odds against the Nuggets in the NBA Finals. If you want to get on the Celtics or the Heat to win the NBA Finals, are you backing either of them? It's about plus 390 for the Heat right now. The Celtics plus 450. The Nuggets are minus 205. I mean, you can lay that, but those numbers on the Heat and Celtics are the cheapest they'll be right now. Or is it just kind of like you're just going to back the Nuggets and you'd be willing to lay that minus 205 this early?
So this might be kind of backwards thinking here. I don't think that the Heat can beat the Nuggets at all. Now, Boston, let's talk about that. I'm not putting anything down right now. However, all of a sudden, if let's say Boston wins the next 2 and we're talking game 7 coming up in this series, then maybe I'll back Boston. But here's the thing, and I talk a lot about, and a lot of my philosophies when it comes to the NBA surround depth. I've always thought that depth wins championships. And that doesn't mean star-studded depth. Just guys that can come in and be chess pieces and do what they do. You got your knights and you got your bishops. That's really what it's all about. And that's what, to me, makes a complete team. However, this Denver team breaks that because I don't think they have a lot of depth. Besides Brown, they got Jeff Green who comes through on occasion. They don't really have anyone else, but they don't need anybody else because Jamal Murray has been such a force, whether it's been his strong shooting where he hits shots again and again and again, one after another, racking them off, or driving the lane as effectively as he does, plus what they've been getting from Jokic, which is a nightmare of a matchup anyway. Their starters have been coming through on the offensive end. So I'm still thinking Denver's beating either team, but I start to become a little bit more of a Boston backer if they bring this series to 7, trying to get somewhat of decent odds on them.
I agree with everything you just said. I don't think anyone beats Denver regardless, by the way. But I've thought that for a while. Also, my Denver to win the West prop also thought that. So that's mostly why I believe
Good
that.
for you, man. Most of us, I'll say this, not most, but at least me, and I know others, got blinded by the flash of some of these other teams and whether or not the Warriors could get their acts together. And good for you because you know what? Denver was the number 1 team, and I think a lot of people were just hating on them because of that lack of depth overall and that lack of flash, and shame on us for doing that.
They did a good job limiting the guys they needed to early in the year. Jamal Murray not playing back-to-backs and then being able to play 40-plus minutes in the postseason. I think that's made a big difference. Fensty, couple more. Throw us a couple. Do you have any more props for us that you're looking at here for tonight's game 5?
Yes, I do. It's now very juiced up. I bet it a little bit earlier, but still, whatever, guys. If you know what, if minus 155, if you think a bet's going to hit, you're that confident in it, put a little bit more on there so you can get some return there. I'm not going to be scared off of minus 155. And that's where we're at with Marcus Smart's assist. Now, I've got that clown look on my face, Servo, right now, and laughing because the last time I was on this show with you, I gave the same prop. And it's the one game where he doesn't go over the 5.5 assists. Tonight, that's happening for Marcus Smart. So I've got him going over 5.5 assists And then here's another one, guys. And please don't tell Adam Ronis that I'm supporting him here, my co-host on Fantasy Alarm Bettorcast. Do not tell him that I'm supporting him on this. You can tell him if you want to. But the Ronis bonus bet on the videos that he was putting out earlier, he mentioned this to me last night, so I got to give him some props for this prop here. Grant Williams over 6.5 points. Last 3 games has gone 9+. We're seeing the shots slowly trickle up for him. Boston's going to need that help and that support shooting from downtown, especially if Malcolm Brogdon's elbow is still in as much pain as it is. That's a lot of instant offense that they're going to need. And this guy all of a sudden has reignited his importance in the rotation, not only on the defensive end from the intangibles, but we're seeing him shoot efficiently over 6.5 points. Again, also pretty juiced up, but it's a very low number and something he can hit on 7 to 8 shots.
Love that. Yeah, I'm with you. I think -160 is like the highest that I'd be willing to go to like pay some juice on it, but -155 on the smart prop is fine with me. Yeah, I like
you guys feel like a lot of people are just turned off if it's not a plus money bet, because I just feel so many chase the plus money, and it's different. And you guys and James, I know you do a lot of home run props and stuff like that. It's different with those. But if you're seeing a prop, like, for instance, Jason Tatum, let's just say 46.5 for the PRAs, which I say in the article that if you're thinking Boston's winning tonight, Tatum's in your captain and MVP spot. He's in mine in my DFS lineups, and I'm not choosing another option because I'm thinking Boston's going to win. And because I'm thinking Boston's going to win, I'm thinking that Tatum's going to have explosive production. So the over 46.5. But then people see -135 and they're like, well, -135. And to me, I say, screw that. If it's a good bet, it's a good bet. Once you get to -200, -300, now I get it. You might want to parlay, but I'm not going to be scared off of -150, Servo.
Yeah, I mean, once you get to like -200, -300, like you're talking about, like if you wanted to bet the Celtics money line, it's like that's a different conversation when you have to risk multiple units just to win back anything.
Right.
But with props, I mean, there's a reason why it's -140, -150, like that. The books are telling you that's what it's looking like, and they're begging you to take the plus money because they know it's probably going to lose. But people are more, tempted to take those plus money odds. Yeah, it's different with home run bets, as you mentioned. But yeah, I'm with you on the -150. I mean, if it's gonna happen, if you feel really strongly that it's gonna happen, there's a reason why it's juiced that way. So
you only have such a small sample size because every series is different, and you got to view it like that. I mean, if a player's on a ridiculous streak of like 6+ assists, that's a swingman and doesn't average that much. Yeah, you could go all the way back to those games, but at the same time, you only have so many games of that sample size that you can deal with. There's a lot of consistency, and you're going to see a lot more juice in the postseason.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Well, Fensty, appreciate you coming on, man. Again, go check out his NBA DFS playbook over at fantasyalarm.com if you haven't already, and get those DFS lineups in while you're tracking these prop bets and your bets for tonight's Celtics Heat game. Fensty, you'll be on tonight, 8 to 10, right? Bettorcast on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, so people can track those live bets with you as they're watching tonight's game. And obviously, Fensty, you can catch him always on Bettor Sports Network, Fantasy Alarm, NBA coverage. He does an awesome job with all of it. But appreciate it, Fensty, for coming out and talking some NBA hoops with us.
Guys, it's been a pleasure talking with both of you, and let's win those bets tonight. Let's cash.
Let's do it.
Sure.
Let's do it. Awesome stuff from Fensty there.
Awesome. I mean, he was okay. He was good.
This guy's giving out multiple prop bets here. I love it.
He was good. Awesome. That's let's wait till the results. Awesome. I mean, come on. I'm just kidding. Fency's amazing. We love Fency.
By the way, while you're listening to him and watching, listen to him on SiriusXM, you can also be watching and listening to Bettor Sports Network, flipping back and forth, because Thursday nights are fantasy football nights on Bettor Sports Network at 7:00 Eastern tonight. Before the Heat Celtics get started, we got high stakes fantasy football show with Eric Balkman of the FFPC, and then 9 p.m. Eastern, Dynasty Nerds with Garrett Price. It's fantasy football, best ball strategy, rookie drafts, dynasty trade talk. We got all that going on fantasyalarm.com, but also here on Bettor Sports Network. So join those shows, Better Sports Network YouTube channel, bettersports.com and the app and all that. Get those fantasy football best balls in. I want to talk, shift gears here before we get back to some baseball, talk some NHL. I want to bring on our producer, Adam Bernard. He might have a pick. His picks have been interesting because there's a Taylor Swift bet that went awry for him, but we'll save that for tomorrow. But
yes, it did go awry for sure.
It went awry for you, not for Howard Bender.
Not for Howard.
Adam, what's your feeling tonight's game? We got Golden Knights against the Dallas Stars. The money lines are pretty even, kind of like a pick 'em. So where are you going with this?
The conference finals have definitely been rougher on me than the previous two rounds in terms of picking. Was doing much better there. But tonight, I think Dallas rallies. I don't think they're going to get swept tonight. I do think Vegas will close it out in Game 5. But Jake Ettinger's got to be better tonight because he can't be worse than he was in Game 3. He got yanked early. You got no Jamie Benn tonight. You got no Yevgeny Dadonov for Dallas. But Dallas has fallen behind 0-1 and 1-2 in their prior two series and bounced back. They are 6-0 since mid-March when they've lost on the game after losing in regulation. They're 3-0 in the playoffs in that scenario. So the money line -110 is the safe route. But I mean, I might even throw a half a unit on the puck line at -1.5 plus 235 on FanDuel right now. I don't think that's a terrible play either. So that's where I'm leaning tonight for Dallas. Like I said, I think we get it back for a Game 5 to Vegas, and then Vegas takes care of business from there.
Ooh, I like that. You mentioned the puck line, by the way. It's like every game. What is it? Every game so far in the conference have been 1-goal differences, or have there been any? Because eventually this is going to change, and we're going to get maybe it's Dallas tonight winning by multiple goals. So that puck line could be interesting.
So in the Eastern Conference Finals, every game was a 1-game final. The first two in this series was overtime, and then Vegas, embarrassed Dallas.
Oh yeah, then there was that one.
Yeah. Dallas didn't, for a team that was, you would have thought they would have come out a little bit stronger, but Vegas kind of just controlled that game and they never really had a chance. When you look at the total for tonight, it's kind of like last night's game where everything is telling you to go under, but I got a feeling this could be like a 4-6 kind of game. I'm staying away from it tonight. The under is probably the way to go, common sense wise, but again, I can see maybe this being a 4-2 and you getting screwed on an empty net goal at the end.
All right, and real quick, how much does the Jamie Benn absence do anything for you, or not at all?
I mean, you don't want to be without your captain, but this is not Jamie Benn of 5 to 10 years ago. He's still a good middle six presence. He's been on and off in the playoffs, hasn't been great, but I think maybe they use this as a rallying cry. They don't have their captain. The season's on the line. That's why I'm leaning Dallas tonight.
All right. Well, yeah, get that bets in on Dallas. Adam Bernard is backing them for sure. Let's get back to some baseball. And by the way, my live bet, my live sweat on these Marlins, we got them up 2-1. The Rockies scored a run here. So, but we got some innings left to get some more run support for the Marlins.
Plenty of innings. Anything could happen in Coors here, Servo. It's Coors Field in the middle of the day.
We might have 10 more runs in this game. Who knows?
That is true. That is true.
All right. What other bets you like for tonight? Money line bets, over-unders, player props. Where are you going with? Give us a couple here.
All right. So the juiciest one, actually the safest bet, I think, of them all is Lucas Giolito over 17.5 outs against the Detroit Tigers. We know the Tigers continue to struggle offensively. That's been their MO for the last couple seasons, even with the hiring of AJ Hinch. Like, he hasn't figured it out. Against righties, they're 28th in ISO. They're 29th in 28th in OPS, 29th in ISO. They're bottom 5 in basically every statistical category. They're top 10 in strikeouts. Giolito has actually been very good lately, 6+ innings and 3 straight starts. That's what we're looking for. He had a rough year in 2022 after, his breakout in the year prior. It was just predicated on a lot of unlucky situations. He had a 4.9 ERA. He had a 3.6 xFIP. Like, he had a 3.40 BABIP. Like, that's just two numbers suggesting just unlucky circumstances the whole year. And he's kind of gotten back to where he was pre-unlucky 2022 season, Lucas Giolito. So I like Lucas Giolito over 17.5 outs, minus 160 on DraftKings Sportsbook. It's a big number, but if you're parlaying that with, juicier numbers, I can see you going there. Over 9 runs in Giants Brewers, I find very interesting because so it's really interesting that we still don't know definitively who's pitching for the Brewers. It is 4:40 Eastern Standard Time, and the only thing we've known is Julio Teheran was signed 2 days ago. The Julio Teheran that pitched years and years and years for Atlanta, and just and then he resurfaced, and there was an announcement that he was signed, but he had to pass his physical, and then even last night they
on that note, I just searched it because on DraftKings it said we got Teheran pitching, but the Brewers about 30 minutes ago, I guess about when we went live, they said they tweeted out he has been signed to a 1-year contract and he will start tonight against the Giants. So we have that confirmation that Julio Teheran is on the mound.
Oh boy! So Julio Teheran, for people who missed the Julio Teheran arc, was pretty good. He was a pretty good pitcher, 30 plus starts every year, top of the Braves rotation, and then he wasn't. He just kind of fell off, as people who get older and have 30 plus starts on 7 straight years kind of do. He was out of baseball in 2022, and by that I mean he pitched in the Independent League. He pitched in Staten Island, 2 teams in Mexico, and then he pitched in I don't even know what this league is. It's what is FGW? He was in the Dominican Winter League in 2022-2023. This year at AAA, before he was released, he pitched in the PCL, which has been Coors Field on crack, pitching it every day at AAA. Before he was released from the Padres minor league system, 6 ERA. So we're talking about a guy who's pitched in 1 major league game since 2021. That was for the Tigers. The years prior, we saw the slope just decrease. So we got Julio Teheran on one side of this game. Then on the other side, what was supposed to be a Logan Webb start for the San Francisco Giants was turned into a Scott Alexander opener. And reports have now been Logan Webb shifting to Saturday start because he had the back issue after his last start. And likely Jacob Junis is going to follow Scott Alexander. Junis hasn't really been extended this year past 4 innings, and that was early on. It's been mostly 1 and 2 inning appearances. And what's significant about this and why I like the over here at minus 120, San Francisco has the 3rd worst bullpen ERA in the league. We're getting 9 innings of the San Francisco bullpen, and they have the 3rd worst bullpen ERA in the league. We know Milwaukee, their offense historically has hit better at home. That's where they are. I love the over. I think there's going to be a lot of runs scored of both these pitchers. Julio Teheran, 1 start since 2021, been struggling in the Independent League for the better half of 3 years, and now a bullpen game for the Giants. Sign me up over 9 runs. And then I like Michael Conforto, just to piggyback basically off that, over 1.5 total bases. Conforto has had a very good month of May, 828 OPS, 274 ISO, 353 WOBA, and I just gave you a bunch of reasons why to attack Julio Teheran in Major League Baseball in 2020.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, I like Thairo Estrada's over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBI. We haven't seen a lineup yet, but he's been hitting second or first at times, probably second tonight, but hitting in that top half of the Giants lineup, and is batting 300 over the past 7 games, got 4 runs scored, 3 RBIs in these 7 games, and over this 1.5 line, 6 of the past 7 as well. So he's hitting well right now, and you mentioned it, against Teheran, that I'm targeting that too. And I like these hits plus runs plus RBI props because you only need maybe one good at bat from him to get on base and come around to score or hit someone else in. So yeah, I'm targeting that too. So I like that call of the over in that game, and Conforto and Estrada. So yeah, I like that too. And by the way, you mentioned Giolito's outs. I looked at his strikeout prop. So, it was over 5.5. I think the line is. So I like that outs call too. I think he'll have a better outing on the mound tonight. So I like that too. One other play I'll give full game here is the Cubs money line. We got Kyle Hendricks
making his return
back on the mound, returning from the injured list. It's -115 on the money line, as you see on this chart here of all the money lines and picks for tonight. But I like the Cubs here to win. I think Kyle Hendricks is actually going to have a solid outing. He's shaky in his first 2 rehab appearances in the minors. But over his last 3, he only allowed 3 runs over 16 innings with a 14-2 K to walk ratio. So he's been strong coming into this start here. And he was pitching in Wrigley Field, and he's been really good at home in Wrigley over his career. 3.08 career ERA at Wrigley. So I think that comfortability factor will definitely play into him. And on the other side, the Cubs offense going against Carlos Carrasco, who's just really struggled this year. Starting to think that, he's just one of those pitchers that might be a little washed up. We've kind of noticed it for years. That was okay last year, but 8.68 ERA this year. Has had multiple outings where he's allowed, 4 or 5 runs or more. And the Cubs are a top 10 offense this year against right-handed pitching. So I think they're going to give Hendricks just a little bit of run support. So I like, you can look at the first 5 innings, but I like the Cubs money line. It's pretty cheap just because, who knows what we're going to get with Hendricks, but I think he's going to give him a solid outing, and Cubs going for the sweep tonight. So over the Mets, I think they're going to be amped to really get that done. So I like the Cubs there. And then last play I'll give, it kind of contradicts your Aaron Nola strikeout prop, or actually not really, because he can get the strikeouts, but I do like Austin Riley to have a decent day at the plate over his 1.5 hits, runs, RBI prop. So yeah, we'll only need, maybe he just gets one good at bat and comes around to score, but Nola can still get his strikeouts. Right. But I'm a big on BVP numbers if it's like really telling. And Riley is a 400 hitter against Nola over his career, and that's a 45 at-bat sample size. So this is a big sample size for Riley against Nola, and he's just really hit him well. 3 homers and 5 doubles against Nola over his career, and over lately he's hitting 400 over the past 7 games too, and over this 1.5 hits, runs, RBI line in 6 of the last 7. So I see those trends just kind of pointing to Riley having a little bit success at the plate against Nola.
Yeah, I saw the BVP for him and Acuna when I was doing my research.
Yeah,
and
Acuna too. Yep.
Those are the 2 guys. I mean, their top half of the lineup is very strong. Their bottom half of the lineup, not as great. But Austin Riley has hit Aaron Nola quite well. He just hasn't been as great against right-handed pitching this year as he has in years past. And I'm not saying that's not going to change because he's such a good player that could change on the. But like you said, I mean, if he hits a solo home run, I'm fine with it. If that's the only damage that's done against Aaron Nola, that's fine. Just give me the 6 strikeouts. So don't worry about the contradicting. I love the Estrada over 1.5. He's hit righties extremely well his entire year. And I love the Cubs pick. Hendricks, that used to be like one of my favorite things in DFS. Not that he was ever like a big time strikeout guy, but death taxes Kyle Hendricks at home always. Like that was my that was my like what I went to because he was never expensive. And there's wind blowing in tonight to back Kyle Hendricks. Mm-hmm. Wind blowing in Wrigley is more significant than other places because we know how that ballpark does with wind. If it's blowing out, forget it. Like you cannot trust any pitcher in that ballpark. If it's blowing in, it's hard to hit in unless your name is Christopher Morel because you can hit in any ballpark imaginable. He's probably still going to hit a home run. Also, Estrada lineup out. Estrada hitting second.
There we go.
Conforto hitting third. So our guys, the Bash brothers.
Ooh, back to back.
And Dan, I'm sorry. Miami has now blown the lead.
I've
Elias
Diaz
Diaz home run to tie the game for Colorado here. I'm hoping
Yep.
once we sign off, we can we get some good luck coming your way for the Marlins. I think
Not
they have
the home run
I think they
I wanted to
have Soler leading off next inning, so like
all right,
could be good.
Well, maybe we'll get a home run there to put us back ahead. And speaking of home runs, let's get to our home run calls here before we wrap up. Players who think we're going to go deep tonight. I'll let you go first. Let me just throw mine out because mine's quick. I just like Alec Boehm tonight. He's been really strong, I think, just in general this year. But lately, he's been like one of the bright spots of the Phillies lineup that's been struggling. And I am a Phillies fan, so I've been watching it every night. And this offense just at times just really struggling. But Boehm's a guy I think can have success on the mound against Dodd for the Braves. Plus 425 home run prop on DraftKings right now. An interesting prop there because it's lower than you'd think. So, I like that. All right, who do you got going deep tonight?
I love that, by the way, because Dylan Dodd allowed so many home runs at AAA before his call up, and then that's not going to just slow down here at the major league level. So I like Adley Rutschman, and it's a juicer. Plus 750.
Yeah, it is.
Hitting second. We have the short porch in Yankee Stadium. And when you profile Adley Rutschman through his first year plus, right? Almost, I would say probably full season at this point. He has been a good hitter against both splits. He's a switch hitter. We know that. But his power side is the left side. We have the short porch Yankee Stadium. He has a 214 career ISO against right-handed pitching. That's a 500 plate appearance sample. So like literally almost a full season's worth of data. 214 ISO is a very, very good number. 378 WOBA to go with it. And where I think it plays is Clark Schmidt this year has been awful against lefties specifically. And now he has to deal with lefties in this lineup. The first 4 of 5 hitters for Baltimore are from the left side. And again, the Yankee Stadium is where you take advantage of the stadium is down right field. Clark Schmidt against lefties this year. 391 WOBA allowed. Actually, this is over the last 2 years. So we're spanning this into his numbers from last year. 391 WOBA allowed, 225 ISO. He has a 37% hard hit rate allowed to left-handed bats. I think Rutschman plus 750. I liked Mullins before we found out he wasn't in the lineup. I love what Gunnar Henderson has done of late. He looks like a different player at the plate over the last week or so. So I think there's a lot of lefties in this lineup, especially in the top half of the lineup, that you could get for super juicy home run numbers. But I'm going to go Rutschman plus 750 as my home run call. Trying to make it 2 in a row, Servo. Teoscar Hernandez nailed that yesterday.
Yeah, you hit that.
We're going to try to run it back with Adley Rutschman at like double the odds. Yesterday, Teoscar was plus 300, which is still a good number. Don't get me wrong. But plus 750, we're hit. Woo, that's juicy.
Oh yeah, plus 750 for any hitter in Yankee Stadium is pretty nice. So I like that call. By the way, if you want another lefty hitter in Yankee Stadium tonight, go check out the Prize Picks video because I know Colby Conway has a lefty hitter from maybe on the other side of that matchup on the Yankees that he likes his props tonight as well. So go check out that video on Fantasy On. That's free. So go check that out right now before tonight's games. Well, that's about it for us. You and John and Pember are coming up at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Quick Pitch MLB DFS live show. Going through the whole slate. It's a small slate, but really going to find some nice value plays I know tonight. And then after that, we got quick outs with John and Pemba and Andrew Cooper here on Bettor Sports Network. Appreciate everyone watching. Grande, we got some winners. I know you had a nice night yesterday. We'll try to make it 2 in a row, right?
Yes, sir.
We got to get some winners here for the people.
Yes, sir. We're definitely putting out some winners. Servo, I think you and I were pretty much in lockstep, except my pitcher going up against your hitter. But we've settled it. Home run for Austin Riley.
Just one solo home run. We're good with it.
Right. Agreed.
Well, appreciate everyone watching. Tune back in tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern. It'll be myself and Howard Bender. But every day we got this Bettor Sports Betting show for you guys coming live from 4 to about 5 Eastern here on Bettor Sports Network and presented by Fantasy Alarm as well. Grande, thanks, man. Enjoy the show with Impeba coming up, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Catch you next week.
All right. Thanks, everyone.